Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Science of Spiritual Growth. This is episode 11. We're going to the top because we here at Science of Spiritual Growth understand that your spirituality ain't jack unless it creates positive effects in the world around you. Anybody can be spiritual by themselves. That's not, oh, the link's not in the bio. Okay, so I'll go back into Instagram and I'll add that link in just a second. So we're here talking about money. This is the spirituality of money, money and spirituality. How do these things jive together? And what are some ideas that we can glean about money in a spiritual context? Because this is obviously like a taboo subject for some people, which seems kind of silly. I don't know if before the paper money, if there was gold, and then if people had problems with gold, like they had issues like with gold, and like that was a taboo subject. If before gold, when you were just like trading like goats or something, if people, it was a taboo thing where it's like, well, you have too many shovels, you should share the wealth. You give your fair share. You have too many goats. And yeah, but I raised these goats. They're mine. Like, why should I give you any? That sort of thing. I don't know where we're going to go with it, but I'm joined with advanced Buddhist meditator and reincarnated Buddhist master, Yuri Verbish-Juk, joining us from Toronto, Canada. And take it away, Yuri. How are you? What's gone on since the last 24 hours? And where are we going with this today?
I have so many perspectives on money from a spiritual perspective that it's unreal. I know so many techniques that if you apply, if you implement in your life, you are guaranteed to make more money. And I know because I apply them every day and I make more money every single day. Every single day, more money is coming to me. Every single day, I'm getting richer. Every single day, I'm becoming closer and closer to becoming a millionaire. Now, I'm not going to share all the techniques here with you because they are reserved for people that properly exchange the right amount of value for these techniques. These techniques that I've learned from studying some of the most important people on our planet. But what I can say, it's incredibly important for you to build a close relationship to money, to the energy of money. Now, when you were saying, you were talking about like 100 years ago, people had gold or whatever they exchanged. It kind of brought a thought into my mind. I'm fairly convinced that a lot of the beliefs and ideas that are pushed on people, that people constantly circulate in their mind, and people hold these beliefs in their mind, are meant to keep the human being down, to keep the human being not in a way that is expressing their power and like in empowering them. It's meant to keep them down, to restrict their energy. And one of the key beliefs is that money is something that is wrong, something that is bad, something that is evil. Like, he's filthy rich, he's dirty, like, oh, dirty money. Like that statement in and of itself is insane. You can't think of money as dirty. Money is the most beautiful energy on planet Earth. One of the most amazing energy on planet Earth, and you want to start to get to love this energy. This is the most beautiful energy on the planet.
Totally. And what about the energy of money? Like, okay, so there's a couple of things there. I want to ask you about what is it about the energy that you find beautiful, but I think even before that, just being aware of various different audiences that maybe don't consider money energy. Like, how would you, from ground zero, taking a person that's, let's say, fully conditioned from public school system, they only have the ideas of what public school gave them, and I don't know if maybe now, it's been a while since I've been in public school, if they talk about money in terms of energy, that money is energy or this or that. And so taking somebody that does not have that idea that money is energy, how would you softly convince them, or how would you even put it to them so that they could, and why would it be useful for them? Like, why should they consider money energy or not?
They should understand the basic fact that everything is energy and money is energy, and it's important for you to understand this, because if you don't understand this, you're not going to be able to make as much money as you should. And I want you to make a lot of money. I want everyone to make a lot of money. I want myself to make a lot of money. I want my parents to make a lot of money. I want my brother to make a lot of money. I want you, Chris, to make a lot of money. I want all my friends to make a lot of money. I want everyone on planet Earth to make a lot of money.
That's very interesting. I'm going to interject a little bit of my philosophy there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want my enemies to make a lot of money.
Okay.
And if everybody makes a lot of money, the concept of a lot doesn't have any meaning anymore, because it's a lot relative to something. And so relative to my enemies I want broke.
Okay.
In debt. And I don't really care about them that much. I don't think much about them. But if it's a lot compared to something, then I have a lot compared to the people that have an anti-purpose to me. So let's say I teach yoga, and there are some people that they teach hunting. They have hunting skills or something. They teach people how to hunt. Like it's not a direct anti-purpose. But let's say I was a KKK member, and then there was the Black Panthers. I wouldn't want the Black Panthers to have a lot of money. I would want the KKK to have a lot of money. And if I was a Republican, I wouldn't want the Democrats to have money. And if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't want the Republicans to have money. And, if I was a socialist, I wouldn't want capitalists to have money. And if I was a capitalist, I wouldn't want socialists to have money.
Sure, I understand.
So, and then this other thing, like, we here at the Science of Spiritual Growth, if you're listening, you're interested in spiritual growth. If you're continuing to listen at this point, you're interested in spiritual growth. Inevitably, you will find unethical or immoral belief systems that they're not you, but they're in your head somehow. And you're behaving from things that if you were fully aware of, you might change that behavior. In the process of growing spiritually, you'll find little inharmonious belief systems or incongruencies in how you behave. And money seems to amplify these. Money seems to, if you are an immoral person, makes you more immoral. If you're a moral person, makes you more moral. So the person that's very charitable has a bunch of money, gives more charity. The person that was never charitable gets more money and continues being, a penny pincher. And so it seems to make people more of what they already were. And so money is very impersonal like that, it seems like. But we here at Science of Spiritual Growth, we try to make it personal, because if we were just teaching business seminars and teaching you how to make money, then it wouldn't do much to alter your ethics. It wouldn't do much to benefit the planet. We would just be amplifying something that was already happening. What we want is to change and put our being through the fire and come out on the other end more pure, more solidified, more certain, more golden, and then apply, the techniques of making money, spending money, investing, circulating, creating the cause and effect in your environment with money. And so I want to hand it back over to yours, Yuri. So as soon as you start talking about energy, I start thinking, well, energy is always like being exchanged, being transformed. It's being moved around. Energy is meant to move. When it doesn't move, it freezes and solidifies, and that does something too. Like, why is money energy? How? Like, when I was first exposed to this idea, I didn't think money was energy. Like, help me understand, Yuri. How is money energy?
Okay,
it's just
let's first go back to our previous topic. When I think of the concept of money, like the word money, this encompasses so much for me that I'm sure now that I understand it, it encompasses so much more to me than it does to many other people. Okay. When I think of, like, when you said, you gave the example, if you were a Democrat, you would want Democrats to have money, but you wouldn't want the Republicans to have money.
Right.
Is that right? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested in making human beings better. In whatever way I can make people better, that's what I'm interested in. There's no Republicans and there's no Democrats. There's just people. And people want to get better, like I hope they do. And the best way to get better is to have a lot of money and use that money in a way that makes you better. So I want everyone to have money that is interested in getting better. Even if it's the crackhead down the street that wants to, I don't know, shoot everyone with an AK-47. Like, I want that guy to have money in order so he can fix himself.
Fascinating. I'm a big proponent of lead by example, and just live the path, and people that are harmonized with that or resonate with it, they'll follow. And so one of the reasons, like, for example, I like having just buttloads of money. Just money loves to be in my pockets. Money loves to come to me. And this is because I give so much value, so money comes to me. And when I see other yoga teachers and they're asking me questions and things like this, how do you do your business? And what's your business model? And how do you manage your money? And what are you investing in? And what training should I go to? Things.
Right.
I only want to follow somebody. I want to follow their advice if they have what I want. If they don't have what I want, I don't want to follow them.
Absolutely.
even maybe in a narrow context, let's say I follow a yoga teacher that's broke as a joke. He doesn't make a lot of money, but he's really good at physical therapy. Okay, so his body is healthy. So I'm going to ask him about money or business. I'm going to ask him about my pelvis or my shoulder or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to follow somebody in the area that they demonstrate to the universe competence. And let's say, okay, so, Democrat and Republican is like, this is a funny example. And it's also, it touches a button for a lot of people because it goes deep when you start talking about politics like this. So let's do it. And, as a Republican, I would want the Democrats to believe my philosophy. As a Democrat, I would want the Republicans to stop being so Republican and start being more Democrat because, hey, I'm right. Like, I'm a smart individual. I've studied this stuff. I think everybody should be a Democrat because why wouldn't you? I think I'm right. Why wouldn't I want everybody to be right? It's kind of like what you're saying. Like, the path, if I have the solution, if I got the cure to cancer, everybody who has cancer to know my cure and believe it, and then use it and then cure themselves. So whatever political party, let's just say there's many, but let's say if that was a Democrat, I would want the Republicans to become a Democrat. What's one way to persuade them? Hey, I'm winning better. I'm not suffering as much as you. I'm happier than you. I have more resources than you. I seem to be winning at life better than you. Maybe you should listen to my ideas because my ideas are making me more successful and happier and your ideas are not. But if they're just as successful as I am, then where is the impetus to change? Like, I want to change because I see a better reference for it. So, yeah, like if that's a very admirable thing. Like when you're saying like, I want the crackhead to have a bunch of money. At first I was like, wait, why? Then it's like, well, maybe so the thing is like, you see all these like people that would win a lottery and then they go broke. And so like, it's not a matter of like giving them money. It's a matter of something inside has to shift so that more money comes to them because they earn it. They deserve it. If they earn it, then they can always earn it again if they lose it. And I want to be a money magnet. I want money to just gravitate towards me effortlessly. Just like I want to be waking up and checking. I check my PayPal account when I wake up and I see all my messages and notifications and it's PayPal for this program, that program, that program. So it's for something. And so immediately I see the money in the bank, but I start thinking, okay, that person got flavor of language. Okay, that person got sacred SOAS. That person signed up for silent flute. This is life-changing for them, life-changing for them, life-changing for them. I want to deliver. I feel the like, it goes into my heart. I'm like, I want to give. And I want to give value. And when I give value, then money comes. And money comes and I give value. And it's the circulation. How can I like put more steroids into this cycle, put more energy into the cycle and start pushing more value out and more money coming in and more value out and more money coming in, and then be intelligent about, do I just throw my value? Like if I had a bunch of money and I just threw it on the street, that's maybe not the most intelligent use of that money. Sure, it's my I can do what I want with it, but would it not be more impactful if I tipped somebody that did a positive thing, if they do something good? If I see a homeless guy pick up a piece of trash and I'm like, whoa, I'm going to give that guy a little bit of money. Like, hey, when you do something good, then this is what should happen. And so money is energy. But really, why should people buy into this money is energy? It's just, I'm not getting it. It's just metal or it's just paper. Like, what do you mean it's energy?
Okay, let's forget about this kind of abstract topic, money is energy. Let's get into something very practical.
Okay.
I want to make the best use of myself here on earth. That means I want to learn as much as I can because things are very interesting and I want to know, I want to grow, I want to expand. I want to expand my mind, I want to expand my body, I want to expand every part of me, right? So if I want to expand my mind, then I have to go and learn from people that have the results that I want. And if I'm going to learn from people that have the results that I want, I have to give them something in exchange for them to give me the value that I want.
Okay.
And right now, our society is so structured that these paper square rectangles is what we use as a means of exchange for the things that you want. So it's actually the most important thing in the world for you to acquire this because this makes you develop as a human being. If I had zero of this, I can't buy your programs. And if I can't buy your programs, I can't understand the things that you know. So I better make some money, earn some money rather, so I can pay you, and so you can, give me the things that I want.
Well, now, may I, for a moment, may I play the role of the instigator?
Sure.
Advocate here? I heard you say, I think it was yesterday, that the most free individual that you'd ever met was this Buddhist monk that was head of some monastery, I think, that you studied at.
Yeah.
But then you just now said that money is what makes people develop.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That man developed. Did he develop because he had money?
Okay. No. Yes, actually he did. Without resources, he wouldn't be able to feed his body. Without resources, he wouldn't be able to clothe himself. Without resources, he wouldn't be able to get into places that he could learn from. He could learn from other people. So it's with the use of resources that he is able to develop himself. If he has no resources, then maybe he can convince someone in order to give him some resources in order for him to get the things that he wants. It's about resources, not necessarily paper rectangles.
Sure. Yeah, the paper rectangles kind of represent resources.
Yes.
The potential for resources. And it's way more adaptable because the paper rectangle could buy that resource or this resource or that resource. Whereas once you have the resource, that's what it is.
Yes.
And so then where does greed play into all of this? Because the man probably, he just needed some shelter and some food and not much more than that, or did he? And so where does greed fit into with this? Like, where is it too much? Is that something, because I could see immediately as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but I can hear like my opponents saying, yeah, but you don't need that much. You just need a bare minimum, like just your fair share, like whatever's going to get you by. Like you don't need that much. Don't be so greedy. Like after a certain amount, just give the rest away. Like when is it too much? When is it, or is that an idea that is that you consider?
It's too much when you're hoarding. Even if you have $10 and you're hoarding, you're greedy. That's too much. It's too much for you.
How would somebody know if they were hoarding? Like, do they just look up the definition of hoarding, or how would you describe it?
If I have $10 and I'm too stingy or I'm too greedy to exchange this money to better myself in some way or even to help someone out, that to me is greedy. It's hoarding.
So definitely sometimes people would like save their money because they want to buy that program, or they want to do that training, or they want that one thing that they really want. They have a goal and they want that thing and they're saving their money. So they plan on exchanging, but they got to save the money. They got to accumulate for something. And so it sounds like what you're saying, hoarding is like holding on to it, but without the intention of spending it.
Exactly.
So saving, like a habitual saving without the mindset of what am I going to exchange this for? Because it's going to go away. It's impermanent, right? So I don't want to hold on to it as if it's permanent. There's a spiritual perspective on money. Cool. Okay, so please continue. You're talking about money is energy, and it's the most powerful, it's the most beautiful energy on earth. Could you go into that? Like, what do you mean by beautiful energy? I think this perspective, beauty is one of, I think, the highest values in the universe. That is what just like inspires us to move towards something and to aspire to have it and to become it. And beauty in all sorts of things, beauty in nature, beauty in another human, beautiful language, beautiful art, beautiful energy. Like beauty is one main reason I believe that we are here to experience beauty and find more and more beauty in the things that maybe is more difficult to find the beauty there. When we can see the beauty in all things, that like, what else is there? Even if you are born again, then it's just going to be a beautiful existence. Like if it's just, but I think if you can really truly find the beauty in everything, then there's a freedom with that. And so beautiful money. Why I wanted to talk about this talk is because I know that the more you talk about something, the more real it becomes, the more you start to expand your vocabulary around it. Like this is just my expertise. But money is not my expertise. I've had college classes on it. I've read books on it. I deal with it because I've been an entrepreneur for 2 or 3 years. well, longer, but like totally 100% entrepreneur for 2 years. And so I'm very interested in like the aesthetic of money, like the beauty of money. Like, what could you help me out, Yuri? Help me see more beauty in money.
Okay. What I know is beautiful is growth. And what I know is beautiful is contribution, right? These are the two spiritual qualities that everyone should strive for. Otherwise, you won't be happy. So growth and contribution are very important in this game of life. And pretty much the only way you're going to grow and contribute is if you have a lot of money. So just by that simple fact, you have to view money just as equally as you view growth and contribution, which are the highest spiritual values. So this is one of the most important spiritual tools that you can acquire on planet Earth. And just by that fact, it is beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. One of the most beautiful things.
Cool. So this is some ideas, when you're talking, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't really find the paper rectangle beautiful, but there's like this energy behind it. This thing that it's like representing some energy, something that like I give and some energy comes back. The cold water, if it goes into the hot water, it cools off the hot water. But if the hot water goes into the cold water, it warms up the cool water. So there's this like exchange that it's impossible to just like flow and not interact. So there's this like energy of money, and I exchange it, and then something comes back. It's like beautiful that this thing is just like symbolizing like energy, somehow the potential to do work, potential to move the elements. And then you're talking about like growth and contribution. And of course, like I'm just playing devil's advocate, and because I see both sides and I interact with both sides of this conversation so much that, is it possible to grow without the money? Is it possible to contribute without the money? Definitely and I'll hand it back over to you, the contribution, like if I can contribute like a donation, I can contribute my own time. Like I could go to a soup kitchen, or I could work for free or whatever. But if I have money, I could pay 10 people to go do that job. I could pay 100 people to go do that. I could give a lot more contribution if I could pay a bunch of people, because the energy of the money exchanged their labor. And then what do you mean by growth? Like, other than just buying people's programs and studying, is that what you mean? Like, or I don't even mean like programs, buying an education or buying experiences and growing through those experiences. Like, how important is money in growth, in your perspective? Or help me connect some of the dots. Like, the more money I have, the more I grow. Is it like this relationship like that? What do you all think in the audience? Feel free to comment at any time.
The more money I have, the better I am as a human being, because I use this money to improve myself. That's pretty much the only reason to use money. So I basically almost always use money to improve myself in some way, shape, or form. And the more that I improve myself, the more value that I have to offer. I mean, just me speaking to this camera is valuable. And it's I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have the resources in order to go and study from teachers that I've studied from, and learn the things that I've learned, and buy the books that I needed to buy, and go to places that I needed to go to, and experience things that I need to experience.
So it definitely all takes money, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there a balance between like how much money do I invest in my growth and development versus how much do I invest in just making more money? Like I have so much time in the day, and some of that is to my personal growth and development, and some of it is to whatever tasks and value that I'm exchanging with the world to accumulate more money. And how does one balance the value exchange for money versus pursuing personal development?
Yes.
I have not yet combined the two elements.
Technically, those things are different, but to me, they're actually the same thing. Like, I view growth as me providing value to people, to humanity. So the more I grow, the more I know that, okay, I can tell someone, and it's going to very quickly change them.
That's very monk-like. It's very, everything that you're doing is related to this outcome, that you're never
Yes.
going off purpose. You're not like going to work a 9 to 5 job and then coming home and playing a video game that has nothing to do with your job, and your job has nothing to do with your video game. Now, it's one thing, I suppose, if you plan to be a professional gamer or something like that. You're building your side career while you're working on this one career, but then it's synergistic because, the job is providing you to be able to grow this side hobby eventually so you can phase out the job. But if there's like a turning off of life, if you're like disengaging with something that's related to your purpose, and so that's maybe not contributing to your growth. So how do people, if people have, if they're taking time off from their life, they're taking vacations from their life, either like a weekend vacation or just a certain time of their day where is this something that you see? Do you see people kind of Yeah, you do. So how is it, and we'll get to your questions, guys, in a second. How is it that people can more and more integrate all of the elements of their life so that there's not a friction, or there's not an inner a hindrance or an inhibition, so that they're not inhibiting their forward movement in their growth? They don't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. How can people do this?
I think a person has to understand what their values are. If they understand what their values are, then they can move through life knowing that they're always fulfilling their values, and it's perfectly okay, because the more you fulfill your values, the happier you're going to be. So you're only going to be more successful. But if you don't know what your values are, then you're going on vacation and then you're spending whatever 7 hours in that week just sitting on the beach and doing nothing, and then you're coming back and in constant depression and turmoil and having thoughts that you don't want, and your whole life is a disaster. So it's important for you to learn how to write down your values. Like, you have to write down your values. What do you value in life? And like, I can tell you right now that the most important values that you can have is growth and contribution. There's nothing more important than that.
Growth and contribution. This is very interesting, because I was about to ask it does, and we have a comment, and he's right. It's like money can help you improve yourself, but it can also lead to your destruction. It just depends on how you spend it. I agree with that. And so I think for so much of my life, I was unaware of that my spending patterns related to my value system, and like what was I valuing really. The money almost like indicated what I was valuing. It's like, that's why I'm so disappointed when people wouldn't want to join the Silent Flute program, but they go get coffee like 12 times a month. It's like, you're valuing the coffee buzz over some wisdom. Like, that coffee's going to wear off, and I teach you how to communicate, and that's going to stick with you and compound interest in your life for the next 30 years. And you're not seeing it, so it's up to me to influence in the proper way so they see that. But so the money is amplifying your negative behaviors, your positive behaviors, your whatever behaviors. It's just amplifying who you are as a person. And so I was going to ask, how do people become aware of their values? And then you said you got to write them down. And, but, a lot of people, they get like writer's block. Like, they're about to put the pen in the paper and they don't know where to begin. Like, should they just brainstorm? Or like, how do people go about, is this something that you did? Or like, okay, so how do people, and what does that even mean? Like, what are your values? Like,
yes, okay. Yeah. Very easy. Okay, this is a multi-million-dollar technique I'm giving you just for nothing right now.
Wow.
You take a piece of paper, you glue it onto your wall, whatever you sleep, you glue it onto your wall, you take a pen, and you always keep it next to that piece of paper. Now, every single time that you walk through life and you kind of do something that's important to you, maybe let's say you work out, you do push-ups, you kind of ask yourself, okay, why am I doing push-ups? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to be strong. Strength. Like, when I say strength, that word just resonates so deeply within me. I know that's one of my values. Like, there you go. Okay. Strength is my value. And you write down strength. Okay, now I know that strength is a very important value to me. So now I can navigate life and know that anything that's going to help me contribute to strength, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take my money and I'm going to invest it, and I'm going to get more strength. That's also how you influence someone, okay? If you know someone's values, you can influence them to do anything you want, as long as it aligns with their values.
Right.
Yes.
So if I want to understand that example about strength. So strength is a value. I got that. You did some push-ups. You're like, I want to be strong. Oh, strength is a value. Resonates with you. You write it down. Okay, strength is a value. You have money. So money, are you saying that unconsciously you'll be spending that money in ways that you think are going to make you stronger?
Unconsciously, consciously, unconsciously, both. Like, now that I know that that's my value, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and become more aware of things that can help me to gain more
I
strength.
see. I see. So does that like refine your spending pattern? So then you'll start to notice like if you're going to spend money, like, oh, is this going to make me stronger or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See. Wow, that's a wonderful exercise. So it sounds like this is a potent exercise. I'm excited to put it into practice because immediately some words came to me. And so it's just like words, like, so as I'm doing activities in life and I do something that especially, what would you say? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it like, it feels good. Like it feels like I'm resonating. The activity, like something I'm doing here, uh, and then like what's my modus operandi? Like I inquire.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you just now, as you were talking, you had that word in mind. So what is that word?
The first word that came to mind was courage.
Courage. Yep. Exactly. That's it for you.
Yeah, I love courage. I love the idea of conquering where I had hesitancy or hesitation or fear when it was unreasonable. Like I love the idea because I love the idea of, or the feeling, the experience of being comfortable in something where previously I was uncomfortable. Like
Mm.
doing something that, and then recalling, like, I remember when this scared the shit out of me, and I'm doing it right now. And what did it take for me to get here? Courage. Courage to fail, and courage to maybe even get hurt and bruised up and scraped up. Because when that happens and I feel that transition, or I get a tangible, it's kind of like you go to grandma's house when I was a kid, and she would mark on the wall like how tall I was. And then I would see how much I grew. And I was unaware of how much I grew until I saw the slash mark from like last summer. And so when I'm doing something that, and then I become aware of, wow, I used to be scared of doing this. Like I remember going when I was early in pickup and dating. And I mean, I was a nervous wreck. And I had terrible communication skills and terrible self-esteem, and list goes on. And I found all of these small steps to take, like just go outside. It sounds so simple. Just I was a PhD student. I was working on a computer. Just go outside and walk around where there's people. Don't interact with anybody. Don't talk to anybody. Just be around people. That was nerve-wracking.
Mm.
Wow. Like now it's like, that's pathetic. I wanted to go out. I didn't have friends, and I wanted to go out, and so I was by myself. And I was so nervous. I just to get ready, get dressed, and in a way that was different because at the time I had a different style. Like I would dress up to go out versus when I was home I dressed like a slob. Now this is how I go out. This is like I just dress the way I am. So I dressed up and I drove, and I couldn't even park my car, and I just drove home. And pat myself on the back because I was like, yeah, you almost got there. Like you got. And then like a couple over, and I parked and I sat in my car, and then I drove home. And then a few days later, I drove and I parked, and I got out and I walked around the block back to my car and then drove home. And it's like now I drive, I park, and I walk, and I find the bar I want, and I go in. And then on and on. And at some point, present time, I'll find some resistance that like I don't feel comfortable. And in the future, I know I'm going to look back and be like, that was ridiculous, Chris. Like you're just in the process of making yourself more and more comfortable going into life. And where is the end? To the best of my vision, the end I see is a Rashti Bazaar. More and more comfortable in more and more situations in life, and still hunting new situations. That's why he keeps jumping field. Went from martial arts to pickup to being like business owner of like an investor in various different businesses, and then becoming like a spiritual guru, and then becoming like a kind of a gangster rapper like Authority. And it's like, whoa, what's next? Next, I don't know what's next, but I admire this experience of I look back on my life and I remember when that was a struggle, and it's no longer a struggle. And hard work. I admire hard work. That's another thing. Like, I don't like the linguistics of it because the idea of hard is like, and so somehow is there solidity inside of me when I mean hard work? And I don't even like the word work, because work is like, what do you mean? I mean, really what I'm saying when I say hard work is I mean difficult play. It's just difficult play. And so difficult play and courage gets me to a place where few can get to, because it takes difficult playing and courage. And so I've earned something. And from this position, my energy is valuable to somebody because I did work, and I applied my courage, and I got to a position in life where my energy is valuable to somebody who has yet to have gone that path. And to guide them, I exchange my energy for their energy, which is money. Because that money helps me to go deeper into it. Because if the more time I need to be making money, the less time I can be out practicing, applying my difficult play and my courage. And those are values for me. So thank you for helping me through that. I'm going to look at that more. I really want to write these down. And so I think it's super vital for people. Get your values, just how Yuri described it, and get in your head that money is just an exchange for something. The money that you have coming in is the universe representing how valuable you are. This is my opinion. That get a grip on the money situation is not you're entitled to anything more. It's not that you deserve more. It's that you're not valuable enough yet. Make yourself more valuable to the people who see your value. Don't try to convince too many people of your value. You only go for the people that are close. They're on the fringes. Start to really exhaust that pool of people and then start trying to convince people. But go for the easy one. The ones that already see your value, they just didn't know that they could exchange with you. And then the ones that almost kind of sort of see your value and then convince them. You'll polarize some people. So they'll go away. Some people will come towards you. And exchange your value. Value yourself. You all, at the age of 23, the age of 26, the age of 32, have just encyclopedias worth of experience here on planet Earth. Like, if you could articulate the story of your life, I'll bet it would be fascinating. And it would be hella valuable to somebody. And it's your job as a spiritual warrior to go into the world and find the people who find your experience valuable. You owe it to yourself because you will grow tremendously when you transmit your experience to another person. And of course, they'll benefit greatly because they're looking for your experience. They are hunting for your experience. Don't deny them. Don't deny them. And so that's my take. I don't know what more to say on money and spirituality. I think we should take some questions. But I know that you are wise beyond your years. I'd love to hear your take on anything I just said. Poignant pause. Ear-to-ear smile. Courage. And difficult play.
I don't know how people interpret this, but I am one of the most valuable human beings that is walking this planet on Earth right now. And as long as I continue to talk, it's inevitable that I will become a millionaire. Like, a millionaire is a joke to me. That's nothing. That's pennies. I know this because I know the quality of my mind, and I can contrast the quality of my mind to the quality of all of the other people on planet Earth that I have seen their minds. People need to start to invest in their own minds because there's nothing more important that you can do. Investing in your mind is the most valuable thing that you can invest in, because that's the only thing that you can really say is mine. Even though you can't really say it's yours because it's not yours, but that's what you carry with you from lifetime to lifetime. So you better do everything you can to invest in your mind, because, I mean, fuck, the consequences are too great for this.
Wow. And I want to pick it up tomorrow with this whole idea of you carry your mind with you lifetime to lifetime. That's going to be a rich subject. So tune in for that tomorrow. That's super interesting. One thing you said, I agree, because I feel my own value and I see the positive impact I have on people, that my mind is very valuable. The contents of my mind and how I communicate, and just, I'm a valuable person. I know this. But I also see lots of people that are chatterboxes. They talk a whole lot. And I don't know that they're ever going to be a millionaire no matter how much they talk. Talking's not valuable. But I wouldn't know that my talking was valuable until I saw positive impacts. I was trying to create positive impacts on people that didn't want to hear my message. And so I didn't value myself enough because I was measuring my value based on rightfully so, I think, on the positive impact I have on other people. I was just not talking to the right people. So how can people find the right people And how can people be sure that what they're saying is valuable? Because of all the, drug addicts on the street corner that are chit-chatting and talking, and they would never stop talking, but no value. Yeah.
The first time I saw you, I just saw a guy that has a beautiful, nice beard and, very athletic and developed body. And then the first time you started to talk, I pretty much immediately knew that you were someone that's valuable. And I knew that I wanted to spend time with you. And when I saw you at the EC2 event, I'm like, yes, this is great. I'm going to spend time around Chris. Chris is my friend. I want to learn everything that Chris knows.
Nice.
So it's intuitive. It's intuitive knowledge. It's just like people have ideas that you want, and just find the people that have the ideas that you want and go and ask them questions. It's as simple as that.
Wow. And that takes a lot of surrender, I think, to be willing to ask questions of a person that you admire. This is a quality I think that makes me so good at everything that I do. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know what your take on this is, Yuri, but the willingness to ask questions to somebody who has what you admire, that they're a little bit further along or a lot bit further along on a path that you see yourself going, and to ask questions. Like I remember in India, and I was sitting around David Garrig, who's my Ashtanga teacher, and there's maybe like 50 students there, that took the time to fly from all across the world and stay there for 5 weeks. And, we're sitting around and he's giving a talk. He's expounding on some ancient Sanskrit texts. And I see people, it's so funny because people would raise their hand and they would say, "Can I ask a question?" Like, well, first of all, you just asked a question. His response every time was no. But then when he would be talking and he would say this or that, and I'd be like, "What do you mean, David? What does that mean?" And he would answer. And because there was I had no hesitancy to ask the question. There was no, "Is this okay? I don't know if this is right. I want to treat it like public school, people raising their hands." When I had a question, I said it. And I said it with the most just submissive, just feminine respect to the teacher. What does that mean? Like, I didn't try to sound gay or anything. Not that that's wrong, but it was just like, I want what you have, and I'm totally open to whatever you say, not trying to color it, just like, give me your mind. And he did. And this quality, one thing that really helped me develop this quality was training with Vince Kelvin. Vince Kelvin is kind of a hard-nosed teacher, and he'll correct you sometimes in a way that doesn't feel good. And but he's really good at amplifying this quality in students, of the quality of speak up, ask a question, don't hesitate, get right into it, be an alpha right now, talk your question. And so, as you're saying, the willingness to ask questions of people that are a little further along in the path, I think that's essential also. So I'm happy to hear you articulate that. We're going to pick it up tomorrow with how you carry your mind lifetime to lifetime. And then we got a comment, I know, and we got a bunch of Facebook comments too. Guys, link is always in the bio. It's going to be way easier and faster. Yeah. So Magical Mercer says, "I know I'm valuable. I need to learn how to use it." What advice would you have for someone who says that comment? "I know I'm valuable. I need to learn how to use it."
You need to have a conversation with me. Then I'll know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Personalized. Yeah.
It is, and you do have valuable, but it's, you're not paying yourself. Other people are paying you. So are you valuable to other people? So it's an interesting spiritual conundrum of, I want to be free of the opinions of other people, but to earn money, I want people's opinions of me to be that I'm valuable. At least certain people. It could be a minority of people, 1% of people. But if 1% of all of the human race thought me as valuable, I'd be a multi-billionaire. And so it does depend on the opinions of other people, which involves your communication. So you got to get your communication right. And so that's what Yuri is saying. Have a conversation with them. That's your communication. I would also say, put your content out there. I should see more posts, unique posts. It's great to share memes. It's great to share other people's posts, but it's really important to put your own content out sometimes. A YouTube video, an Instagram video, an Instagram picture. Like, this is how we, page and go live sometimes. It doesn't matter if nobody shows up. How many lives I've done that nobody showed up? So many. You don't even get it. You don't understand. I have 400 videos in my private training group. I have 700 videos on YouTube. I have 400 videos on Facebook that are free, and I have now working on 80 podcasts. Hours and hours and hours and hours of content that, if you go back to the beginning, a lot of them are just like garbage. Like, I didn't know how to talk. I was nervous. I stuttered more than I do now, and I was doubting myself. You put yourself out there and you practice, and then you go out and interact with real people. For me, it was a lot of get my digital presence, get comfortable in front of a computer screen, and then get comfortable in front of people. And some people, I think, go the opposite. At some point, you're going to want to go out and interact with people. Otherwise, you'll lose kind of the, like I've met some very famous YouTube people, and they're kind of peculiar and awkward in person. They're not used to being in the energy and presence of another human, an organic person. They're very charismatic in front of a camera. But in front of another person, are you friendly? Is your body language friendly? Is your energy friendly? And so once you get this machine working, this voice machine working, where you feel a feeling and you want to express a thought and you can put it into words and you put it out there, you get practiced at doing that because you've been practicing doing the opposite for a long time. Then you'll have some feedback. The world will notice you're valuable, you're not. You'll get some haters, you delete them, and you get some people that admire you, you charge them, and then teach them better stuff. And then you go out in the world and start softening your energy. Get in uncomfortable situations and practice becoming comfortable. And so that's just something you didn't even ask a question, but that's what I'll say about that. And definitely have a conversation with Yuri, because Yuri will unravel a lot of knots that are in your head. And so we got some comments on Facebook. Guys, if you got anything, then type it up or click the link in the bio if you're on Instagram or even on Facebook. There's a link. Going to Zoom, it's way better as far as being able to read comments. You can voice something if you want and participate. So we got Donna Marie. She is making a whole bunch of comments. Karma, you know it's going to not be the joy you have. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. I tell my students to think about that, allow them to be okay with I show them non-harming practices. I have a client coming in now, like the topic, think. She pays me well for my services. I'm qualified and she receives my help. I help first, money follows. So many thoughts on this good spiritual topic. Namaste. Okay, so there's no comments or questions. And I'll say that, guys, I've given hundreds of private lessons for free. I don't do it so much anymore unless a person's really struggling and I see that they're receptive. It's not simply that they're receptive. If they're not struggling, then pay me. It's not simply that they're struggling, because if they're not receptive, it's a waste of my life. So I'll take a second to maybe persuade them that what I know they need. If they don't get it, move on. Maybe give them a business card, show them my YouTube channel, talk to them later. So there was a lot of help, but I have almost 1 million minutes viewed on my YouTube. That's a lot of free help. And that will come back. So I really recommend put your content out there. So you don't know how good your content is until you start giving your best content away. When you give your best content away, you'll realize that you actually have better content, that you just were trying to hold on to it so much that you can only hold, what's that thing? You can only hold like 7 to 9 things at once simultaneously in your head. When you start expressing those 7 to 9 things, you'll realize, I have 7 to 9 more things. I have 7 to 9 more things. As you put it out there. And then you'll start realizing that there needs to be proper value exchange. People won't value it as much if you give it to them for free. So give them the first steps and give them the call to action and start to entice them because they want to be enticed. They want it to feel good. They want to feel like they're earning it. And you know when somebody gives you a compliment but you didn't do anything to earn it, you feel like it's like almost like manipulative? Like that's what it's like when people just give you free content. Don't give it all away for free because you're not helping them. One of my falling outs, I'll say this last story, and then I want to hand it over to Yuri for any closing statements. I had a falling out with my original yoga teacher. My very first yoga teacher was my girlfriend at the time. But I didn't know what teacher meant, really. And she was teaching me, but I didn't really see her as like an authority over me. It was just like I didn't know that skill, and she was telling it to me. After that, I practiced alone for a year in my home. I never went to a yoga studio except to try. I tried like maybe 6 or 7 times, but hundreds of hours of practice alone in my home, like a hut, like a monk. But then I was hurting myself. So I found a teacher that I knew could guide me out of pain. And I found him. I had no money. Like I was just really struggling with my mind, and I was really struggling with my money. But I was practicing because I was finding salvation for at least 2 hours a day. I could be free from the worries. And he taught me free private lesson, 3 hours, one-on-one. I don't know. What would you charge for 3 hours if somebody was like, teach me Yuri for 3 hours? What would it be?
I don't know, 6,000, 7,000, definitely thousands.
Incredible. Yeah, for me, if you wanted 3 hours with me, it'd be $300 right now. $300 to come. If you come to me, 3 hours, I'll hang out with you and we'll go over whatever you want to go over. Nothing's taboo with me. And so at the time, I went 3 hours. He taught me private lesson. When I was leaving, I was going to reach in my wallet and give him some money. And it was going to be pathetic. It was going to be a pathetic amount of money. And he said, no money is meant to exchange hands for the teaching of yoga. And I found that very admirable. And in that moment, he became my teacher. I was like, wow, that's so admirable. I was going to pay him $20. That's what I had. And the problem is it sets in motion a pattern of interacting with him where I didn't pay him very much. And so I took another private lesson with him, sometime 7 hours. I paid him $20. Then I took he gave me some free Skype lessons. And eventually I sent him some money, like $80 after like hours of Skype lessons. And at some point I was even staying in the basement of his home while I was working on some yoga programs and whatever. And meanwhile, I was paying Arashdi Bazaar and Vince Kelvin thousands of dollars because they asked of it. They asked it. They demanded it. If you want this knowledge, you pay us this money. And so he comes to me one day and he's like, I feel like you're taking advantage of me because you're exchanging more energy with these other people, but not with me. And so when I left, a couple of times I left $100. And a couple of times I left precious metal, like I left a piece of gold with some paper money. And then one time I left like $100 and I would send him PayPal money and whatever. Long story short, it became a source of tension where he didn't feel like he was being valued. And the value wasn't demanded of me. So with my students, I demand the value. Somebody just messaged me about a private lesson yesterday, and I said $150 for 90 minutes. She didn't reply. I know she's thinking in her head, it's not worth that. Then it's not worth it to you. You don't look at my testimonials. It's worth 10 times that. I just don't have the reputation yet to charge $1,500 for a private lesson. But there are yoga teachers that charge $10,000 for a private lesson because it's perceived, it's a perception. And if you're not actually that valuable, then you'll quickly crash. Then word will get out that you're overcharging and you'll quickly decline. But if you are that valuable, then you'll get the great testimonial. So I think it's really important to, at the onset of a business relationship, establish your value and continually update the value and be very, very willing for the person to walk the other way and go the other way and find the next person, on to the next. You don't know the difficulty of finding your students and your clients until you try to make it. And then you realize that, hey, you're competing with Nike, you're competing with Starbucks, you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with their bills, you're competing with the bank that has student loans over this person, you're competing with the entire universe that's asking of them their money. Here you are saying, hey, I got what you need, but it's going to cost money. Like, I don't have money. Really? You'll find the money. Money is to be found. You can find the money. Borrow it, take a credit card out, sell something you don't have, put in extra time at work, beg. I don't know. You can find the money if it's worth it to you. And if it's not, then just be honest with yourself. Because the lie is not helping you either. Just say, it's not worth it to me right now. Tell it to me. If I say, hey, are you interested in joining? You're like, it's not worth it to me right now. You think you're going to hurt my feelings? I'm not going to come through the screen and I can be like, that's something that happened to you as a kid. That's not me. Just start to connect that with your values. Your value is honesty. One of my values is honesty. So I can use my money to become more honest. So when I go into a social venue where other people have more money than me, or they seem to be very, very successful in their business and they ask me, what do I do? I'm putting myself in a situation where it's very tempting to lie. And so my money has now put me in a situation to strengthen my honesty. And so that's what I have to say on money and spirituality for right now. It over to Yuri. And
Yes.
what do you think, brother? What values are you growing? Is there any other values besides growth and contribution, or is that it for you where it ends? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just kind of formulating my thoughts.
Excellent.
There's nothing more important that you can do than have a conversation with me.
Wow.
And right now, I am willing to do this just on donations. So I'm not going to charge you $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, even though it's like, if you give me $100,000 for 1 hour for the amount of knowledge that I have, you'd be like, okay, this is pretty worth it for me. But right now, I'm just willing to give you everything that I know. And if you integrate it within yourself, then you can reciprocate however much money that you feel is that value is to you. I think that's the fairest way. That's the most ethical way. And so just do it. Just do it. Just message me. Just have a conversation with me. I love doing this. So please.
Very good. Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. So tomorrow we're covering how the mind will carry with you lifetime to lifetime, and what is this thing called a mind, and how can we design this mind? How can we use our mind instead of our mind using us, kind of thing. It's going to be a really fun topic. I love talking about the mind, and which is interesting because it's the mind talking about itself. So that's a trip. So we'll catch you tomorrow. You can find this on all the podcast channels. If you got some value from this, then send them some message or share it on Facebook, share it on all the social media. Tell the world what you got out of it. And as always, thank you, Yuri, for joining. And we'll see you all tomorrow, every weekday at noon. Namaste.